And I do welcome all of you. And this is the first of four that we will be doing over the next couple of weeks. And where is it? Five. But anyway, there's several of them upcoming, and hopefully, if you don't get your questions answered this time, you'll be able to come back and visit one of the others. They're all listed in the email, so we didn't have to start resending out. And at this point, I'd like to introduce you to the Rotary Club Central team, and we have Dave Barry, who is from the past president of Niagara Falls Sunrise. And he is the Area 8 Assistant Governor. And we also have Don Thorpe, who is with the Welland Club. And I think you must be past just about everything, but you haven't done anything. You're not an Assistant Governor yet, are you, Don?
No, but I am now President-elect.
Oh, okay. Good job. How have you ducked that one all these years? He also has been their secretary for, I think it's decades. And we do thank him, both of them, for all their help. They're bringing different perspectives to this. And so at this point, what I'm going to do is ask each of you, I'll just call out your names, and please give me give us your position and a question that you may have, so that as we're going through, we'll answer those questions. And at the end, you'll be able to tell us whether or not you feel comfortable with the answers that you received. Paul Lehman, I see you first here. So Paul, please.
I'm Paul Lehman, President-elect of Lockport Rotary Club. I don't think I have any questions yet.
Okay. Dan?
President of St. Catharines South, and I don't really have any questions, I don't think.
Okay, Leslie?
Hi, I'm Leslie Barmania, District Governor-elect 7080, and we talked about these webinars, and I thought I'd like to see what you cover in these, and something that we haven't. By the way, I've just lost my screen, so I might have to come out.
Somebody's making a lot of noise there, buddy. Okay. Doc.
Let's see. Presently, I'm President-elect and Secretary, past President, past Assistant Governor.
And your question?
I just came in for a refresher.
Okay, super. Nadja. President of Niagara-on-the-Lake, just listening. I can only watch and hear. Okay, fair enough. Thank you very much for being here, and we're all going to come and see you soon because we're coming to the conference. And Susan, can you pipe in? I know it's noisy where you are, but could you bring us up to date there?
Yes, hi, I'm Susan Cerny. I'm the MD Pets Chair for District 7090, and I'm here to just join in and learn a little bit more than I know right now. And I don't have any questions at the moment.
Okay, super. Okay, that's great. So it will make it really easy as we go through here, boys. We don't need to worry about trying to answer questions. We'll just play it by ear. And if you do have a question, folks, please don't hesitate to ask. So I'm now going to turn it over to Don, and Don Thorpe will go through his portion of it on how to use it level. And I'm not shared here. You need to share it at all?
Who, me? No.
Yeah.
I'm just going to talk.
Okay, you talk.
Okay. I've been doing this I've been secretary for, I guess, 7 years at our Welland Club. And we've been successful for probably 10 to 15 years of getting the presidential citation continuously. And we sort of developed our own process. So part of what we've now put on the district website as part of the training process is It is simple to do. It's not something that's difficult. There's no hidden agendas by the district or Rotary International. And it really starts with Club Central and putting your goals in. What we do in our club and what we're suggesting you do through this process, use the presidential, the RI president's goals for their particular year. What we do, excuse me, at our first meeting of the new board is look at the goals that we think that we can, that we know that we can achieve. We then look at the goals that we think we can achieve, and we also look at the ones that we know that we will not do no matter what. And we actually approve these by the board of directors and present them to the members as our goals for the citation for the year. It's not just our goals for our club, but essentially our goals for the club citation. You also should be using Club Central to put in your goals for the year. Many of them are the RI Club citation goals, but many of them are other ones. There are things that both the district and RI require, which is your projected number of members, your projected foundation monies that you think will be raised by your club and your members. These two critical items are required for budgeting purposes and for membership components. So even though RI requires you to do it, it's something that's going to help your club determine how many new members or how many retained members that you're going to have for the following year. Along with that, there are other goals with respect to fundraise or foundation, youth activities, your community service, international service. So these are, they're essentially goals that allow you to show your membership that you're achieving these throughout the year. David is going to get into some of the processes because some of them are very straightforward. The RI process is not really clear. But essentially what you do is you enter your goals at the beginning of the year in Club Central and My Rotary. There are only several people that can actually do the entering. The secretary for sure, the president, the treasurer can do some, but you can also designate someone to be an executive secretary, I believe the process name is, and that allows them also to see all of these different sections of My Rotary. Once you've set your goals, it's a matter of keeping them up to date. So we have an example of we have an exchange student coming in and going out. So our goal was to have one coming in, one going out. Once August came along and our student left to go to, I think it was France this year, and we have one in from Paraguay, I go into Club Central, look at, hit the edit button, which David will show you, and you look at youth exchange, and you just put a check mark beside one going out and one coming in, and you've achieved that. You don't have to worry about it from then on. Many of the goals that you put into Club Central and that you edit and say that you've done them go automatically into what is now called the Rotary Citation. It used to be the club citation. It used to be the presidential citation. And again, David will explain a bit about those. The presidential or the Rotary, what is it now? I keep on forgetting this. The presidential citation is now the Rotary Citation, is another whole process of things that you need to achieve, and essentially they are, you have to meet 3 or 4 of the goals of the RI president. As I said, some of them are already in the goals through Club Central, some that you have to enter through another process, and particularly those are club activities, which again David will explain a little bit better. There's a item in the presidential citation that talks about, and I'm just trying to find the term because they keep on changing these. It will come to me. Sorry about that. Anyway, it will come to me. It's the dashboard. So it's the citation dashboard. We use this starting in about October, November with our board of directors. So essentially, I print out the club citation or the Rotary citation dashboard, and it shows you how many of the goals that you have met towards the Rotary citation. I take that to each of our Rotary board meetings, and usually on the board agenda we have one item that we're not sure how we're going to achieve. So if we were looking at it a month ago, we'd be saying, what are we going to do for End Polio Day, October 24th? So we would have discussed that in August or September board meeting and made plans to do something for that, which we have done. There might be other goals that it's going to be difficult for you to achieve. I think one is potentially working with other clubs, or another one this year is having some of your Rotarians speak to the press and do press reports. So those may take some planning. So if you discuss those at a board meeting ahead of time, 2 or 3, 4 months, when it comes to April, May, you have most of your goals achieved. You don't have to do a big rush at the end of the year to try and achieve all those goals as every other club of 32,000 worldwide are trying to do. So it just gives you something, an update. It allows you on your club assemblies for the presidents to say, here are the goals we've set, and here's where we are in January, here's where we are in March. And I think it also helps to show that your members are part of that whole process of achieving those goals and making your club better, whether it's increasing number of members or increasing your foundation giving. So I don't think it's something to look at as an obligation, but it's something to help your clubs grow and achieve something you didn't think that you might have achieved at the beginning of the year. I think that's it, Marley, for now.
You're
unmute, Marley.
Unmute, Marley.
Wow, thank you. Don certainly has helped the club, the Welland Club, achieve a lot of presidential citations, and they also have earned the district governor trophy and have come close. I think it's certainly in my year as well. So it's really interesting to see how a club uses the presidential citation to help with Rotary Club Central and help their club achieve goals. Now I'm now going to turn it over to Dave, and Dave, you're on.
Okay.
And I certainly appreciate all the hard work you've put into this. Thank you, Dave.
Okay. There, can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Good. I'm going to take it back a little bit further. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Don and the Welland Club are experts, and Don's the guru of everything to do with Rotary Club Central and setting goals. But the one item that I wanted to go a little step backwards, or at least a few years backwards. I feel that clubs should be setting visions, and we as a district in 7090 have always set meetings in which clubs could, and Birmingham's still doing these, in which she would come in and allow the club to work together with all its members in one room to set basic goals for 5 years. And so what you were looking at is the ability to be able to follow through with goals. And what you're seeing in Club Central is simply the annual concept of establishing and doing these steps or goals, so that you're eventually going to receive the success within what was supposed to be a vision from 5 years ago. So annually, what you're doing is you're looking for a goal that will eventually follow through with the success. Now, one of your goals might be to have the Rotary citation 3 years in a row. And this is the tool that'll help you do that. Okay. I think it's fairly easy to operate as long as you have a little bit of overview of it. I don't think there should be any problems to working with it. But what we did look at is the idea that people were blind going into this. And so what we decided to do was to set up an area in which we would go to the district and literally set up a toolbox. I'm going to go home here. You can see this is our district site. So for those who can get into our district site, and I will tell you that it is a page in which you do not have to log in. So it's open to everybody. So go to Club Tools and come down here to Rotary Club Central Toolbox. Okay.
We can't see that.
You can't see that.
We can just see rotary7090.org.
Well, let's go back to this then.
I need to stop share and restart.
No. Oh. Didn't know that would happen, guys.
It's all a learning curve. Right, Dan?
Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. This is again, 7090's website, and for those who are keen on this, going under Club Tools and down here is Rotary Club Central Toolbox, takes you literally into a page that does a lot of, first of all, explaining what Don so eloquently provided you with, the objectives and why you should pursue a presidential citation. But further on down is what we're looking at here is really the toolbox in itself. Okay, the toolbox is one in which we have listed some basic questions about how do I access Club Central, how do I set the goals in Club Central, and then for each one of those basic questions, we've looked at this and said, well, why don't we give you an information sheet, sort of a guide, so that when you click onto this, you will open up into and I hope it does open, good, into, in this case, a 2-page guide in which you can say, oh, so if my objective was to get into Club Central, this is how I do it. Okay, so I think what the idea that we wanted to do was not only give you that 2-page summary or 3-page summary, but we are also providing you with a rather roughly constructed a video, so that if you're the learner that looks at this and says, how do I get into Rotary Central, and the help sheet isn't quite doing it for you, you can go into the video itself and it'll show you. So that'll at least get you over that hurdle of fear that most people have in terms of oh, I'm not too sure how to do this. Okay. The one thing you will notice is that you'll never destroy this computer by trying. Okay. Now, what I do have here is a chart, and I have an explanation for it on the, but I'm going to do this slightly different if you don't mind. I'm going to stop again, and then I'm going to share, and I'm going into this. Okay, what you should be able to, hello, let's go on. Can you see that?
7090.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Good. What's going on here? Help.
Record your successes.
Yeah, but it's the chart's supposed to show up. Okay. It's just me, folks.
Dave has put a ton of work into this, and
so the question is, why isn't this working?
On behalf of the district, thank you so much.
It's not showing up.
We
okay.
Can't see anything from.
Okay, you'll get it in a second, and I'll explain it. Okay, now what I wanted to do is explain this chart because it just wasn't, hello. The chart really is in my way of thinking a process chart, because it really shows you how to my way of thinking of how easy this is. It looks complicated, but it boils down to this. There are basically two things you're going to do with Rotary Club Central. The first thing you're going to do is record your goals. Everything you do to record the goals is going to be done in Rotary Club Central, and I'll show you that. The second thing you're going to do is record your accomplishments. Now, this is where RI has, don't tell anybody I said this, but they've screwed this up as far as I'm concerned. They have made it somewhat difficult in thinking, in their thought was that it was going to be simple. The problem with recording accomplishments is that there are 3 access areas in which you're going to do this, okay? The simplest thing is if I go to set my goals at 44 members for this year, I don't have to touch it after that. RI Data Bank will automatically go into that and show in Rotary Club Central that my membership is at, I don't know, 43 right now. If I drop a member, it'll be at 42, and automatically the information from the RI Data Bank will go into my Rotary Club Central. Okay. The other thing is that they have set up what is called a service activity. Now, a service activity can be, why is it doing this? A service activity can be one of many things, and it could be an international activity, it could be something in the area of 4 focuses, it could be a community fundraiser, it could be, and there's a whole list of 8 different elements. So when you go to set a goal for service activities, it will say how many service activities are you going to do. You might add up to, let's say, 8 service activities because you've got fundraisers, you're out planting trees, you're doing a kitchen day, you're reading to grade 1 kids in elementary school. These are all service activities. So they want to know how many of these you do, but on top of that, they want to know how many person hours are being spent in that activity. How much money are you investing in the community? So these types of things are going to add up so that RI can look at this and say 32,000 clubs have donated to their community X billions of dollars. But for our club, I look at it and say it's a good way for us to measure our success in terms of what we're doing. So service activities go in through a service activity tab. And then the majority of them are set individually, manually. I think the best thing for me to do at this point would be to go into Rotary Club Central. To get into Rotary Club Central, let me get this. Screen 2. There. You see what we are at?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. Rotary Club Central is done, and you've got to go through passwords to get into it. And again, for those who aren't too sure about how to get into Rotary, just look at the videos and get the help sheets. It's not difficult. You will need your password to get into it. And it does take a little bit of time because RI, their home-based computers are always slow. Very slow, extremely slow, embarrassingly slow. Anyway, the point here is that once we're in Rotary Club Central, the first sheet to come up, it's always going to be the dashboard. Now, the dashboard is simply like any sort of business dashboard. It's going to be an idea that you can get a sort of a pictorial overview of what you're doing. This one happens to be our club. You can see we are looking at setting a goal to have more members. We're experiencing, as with a lot of clubs, that creeping crisis, I call it, in membership. So what do we have to do? We've got to turn that frown upside down and get going on it. It tells us our different types of information. What you're going to find is, because you have not been using Rotary Club Central, a lot of this information might not be accurate. Okay, so eventually it will be. Now, there are two areas where information go in. The first is going to be up here, and I should show you the banners. Okay, this banner on the left-hand side is an index banner to specific pages. So you can literally go from one page to the next. This is the Goal Center. This is service activities, two of which I want to show you today. And we've got some wonderful resources that we can get into different pages, and that'll help anybody out. So recognize the left-hand side is always going to be a black banner that gets you directly to pages. You'll notice on the dashboard there are some other indexes that are horizontal, and that will take you into a different format. Let's go into Goal Center. Goal Center is where you will go to set your goals. Wow. Okay, I happen to have several clubs under me, so I'm just going to use our club as an example, and I think it's relatively straightforward if you want to follow me through. Don't be afraid to interrupt, guys. Unmute and say, hey, Dave, what are you talking about? Not all at once, please. The point here being is that key elements for using this, always make sure you're on the date that you're applicable to. This is 2018-19. Okay, if you go back to 2017-18, it's going to be the wrong place. Okay, there are a whole bunch of different areas in which you'll be able to establish sort of categories in which you'll be able to establish your goals. What we have published is a means in which you can record your goals without this. So I'm going to go back to the tool. You know, I didn't realize I couldn't share this like this. Watch me. I think it will. I think it will. Okay, you should be able to see back in the district site, right? Confirm?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, the one thing that I think is extremely important before you even start working in the goals area of Rotary Club Central, I don't know why this keeps bouncing out, is this one tool here called Goals for Your Club. And what it does is it's a 4-page summary of what all the goals are for Rotary Club Central. So that every one of these will be listed under a title. This happens to be membership and engagement. And these are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 different categories in each area where a goal will be set. Take, for example, club membership. How many total members does your club want by the end of the year? Set it at 44. Maybe that's the type of thing you want to do. But after a discussion with your members, you're going to go through and set these goals. And that's the key element. You just don't go on to Rotary Club Central and say, hey, I'm going to have, 55 members. You discuss it with your members. You say, hey, how many are we going to be able to get? Is this a reasonable and is it a logical type of goal that we can set? The one thing about setting goals is that they have to be reasonable and they have to be attainable. Okay? If you cannot reach some of these goals, then you simply put 0 and you won't get them. Okay, because they're under foundations. There is how many benevolent grants are there going to be of 10,000 or more? Well, I can tell you there ain't going to be any from our club. Okay, so we just can't do that. Nobody's planning on dying, I guess. That's it. Okay, so we invite you to download what I call the goal metrics, and look at that and set these as you go along. You'll notice that the Rotary Foundations, you set your Polio Plus contributions, your major gifts, your Bequest Society members, how many people are in that, et cetera, et cetera. Again, might not get them all, but it works. Under service, it's simply the number, and I want to draw this to your attention. Under service, it's simply the number of projects that you will have, okay? And this is probably hard to read. Fundraisers, international, vocational, young leaders, area focus, polio, and environment are all the areas in which you will do some form of service, okay? So you get the number. Young leaders, another areas, and I'll show you this shortly in Rotary Club Central. The other side to this, on the last couple of pages of this goal setting metric, is going to be the Rotary citation. And some of these might be duplicates of what has been presented in Rotary Club Central goals, but they are all together so that you can say, hey, I am going to be able to get these goals. One thing about the citation, there are 4 different categories, okay? Support and strengthen the clubs, focus and increase humanitarian service, enhance Rotary's public image and awareness, and the granddaddy of them all, do this and you'll get a Presidential Distinction Award. But I'm going back to the beginning here, the citation, what you've got to recognize is that in each category, you have to have not all of them, but 3, at least 3. Okay, so in this category for the citation under support and strengthen clubs, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 listed goals, and you can get 3 of them. You will receive all the points for the support and strengthen clubs. So you go through each one of those 4 categories and get 3 of them in each. If you were a Rotaract club, you would only need 2 in each. Okay, so that goal, sorry, I'm going back to the beginning. This goal metric is really there for you to go to your club and say, we want a discussion about what our goals are all about. So I encourage you to use that for the discussion. Now, I'm going to bump out again and go back to Rotary Club Central.
I think it's such a wonderful idea that you're stressing the fact that you take it to the club members, because without the club member buy-in, we all know that presidents can be hung out to dry, and they're just not going to be able to attain this. So get that buy-in before you put the numbers in. But you can't change them. You can always change them.
Okay, we're back to Rotary Club Central, and what I have done is I've gone into the goal center. Remember, the first page was always, hello, the dashboard, you see that? I see a nod, so I'm happy.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Leslie. Anyway, let's go to the goal central. This is all very simple, and you remember the categories I talked about in the sheets that we had? Well, each one of them is listed here. And so you can go into either one of them. Let's go into service. How many elements would there be in service? Well, service projects under Rotary Club Central is simply the number of. And look at, if you're confused at all, you can click on this one and it will explain what it is. How many service projects will your club complete during the Rotary year? So you're looking for the number of service projects. Okay. Anyway, how do I get that? And I'm going to change this number to 8. Okay. So all I have to do in this is click Edit, go to Goal, erase it, and change it to 8, and then save it. Okay, Marley, here's the test. How do I change it back to 7?
Do the same thing.
Click edit.
Mhm.
Change this to 7. And the key thing is
Hit save.
save. If you don't hit the save, then you've just wasted your time. Okay.
Dave,
Yes.
there's just a question, I think, from Nadia. Did you say that service projects, or like fundraising is a service project? I think we got to say that it can be fundraising. It can be what I do twice a year is a volunteer hours. So I do a project on that. It can be fundraising. It can be a club project to, as you said, reading books to children in grade 1. Anything can almost anything can be a service project.
In a lot of cases, you don't know what your members are doing out there. I know we've never kept track of it, but we were very principled in starting a school lunch or breakfast program, and our members have just, since we've set it up, it's been taken over by higher authorities and governments and this sort of thing. But our members just keep on volunteering, and so we end up here with the idea that I don't know how many times they volunteer. It doesn't cost us any money, but it's still a service activity we should be recording. Okay, good. I hope that helps. The one thing about this is that the element of trying to record achievements gets difficult. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to members, okay? And I might look at this and say, I want to change. 6 months have gone by, and I've got a record of what the service participation is all about. So this is going to be, and I'm going to count this, how many members will participate in club service activities during the Rotary year. Well, let's say in 6 months down the road, I know I've got 28 that have participated. Now I can change this at the end, but I'm just going to show you. Edit, achievement, 28, save. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Now, look at that screen. You will notice that nothing shows under club membership. Why? I can't change that club membership.
Because it's by RI.
Yes, it comes directly from RI data bank. Okay, you add a member, it goes up. You delete a member, it goes down. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. There's going to be some in these categories that you can, but notice the majority of these, you simply add the achievement, whatever it might be. And then what do you do after you've added the achievement?
Save.
Save. I didn't want to save that. Okay, so really what you're doing here is you're recognizing that to get into Rotary Club Central, to set your goals is not difficult. To change your achievements is not difficult. The only thing that they've really screwed up is service activities. Okay? In other words, when I went into service activities, it was just a number. But they want a lot more information. So let me show you how service activities works. Down on the banner for the menu here, it has service activities. So I'm going to click into that. You'll notice that I have one completed project. Okay, I should have a whole slew of these by this time, and I haven't done it because I've been busy with other things. Okay, here's the point. You can bring in information if you have done this project previous years. You can simply repeat a past service project, and that will bring the information from last year to this year. It won't bring the data, it'll just bring the description of it. If you want to add a new project, you click on this one. You can even go to Rotary Showcase, which is a total thing altogether, different thing altogether, and I don't want to get into it now, but that's another way of bringing in the description. Okay?
Because you uploaded it to Showcase the prior year.
That's right. As soon as you put that into Showcase, you can draw it, upload it into your Rotary Club Central. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into this completed project and I'm going to show you what the information was all about. Okay, very simple. This is Catch the Ace, which was a little lottery thing that we did, and we did it with the Niagara Falls Rotary Club. So we ended up. It wants the timeline for it, so you describe it, what it is in title. You describe the effort that's going on. Lottery done with Niagara Falls Rotary Club, whereas consecutive draws are made until the ace of spades is drawn. Progressive pot accumulates at each draw. I mean, we just finished it in September the 14th, so that's why I've got the numbers. We projected there would be 12 members participating in this. We actually only needed 6. Okay, and that's what we ended up with. We projected that there would be 175 volunteer hours involved in this, and we did it in 95.
But you can go in and change those.
I can change that, but I've completed it, so I'm not going to. Okay. It asks for how much money we have brought in and projected and achievement. So we projected $3,000 for our club. Remember, we're just recording our club. And the Rotary Club of Niagara Falls, Canada, is reporting their club share. So we split this, and we took some of it. We projected we'd have 3,000 for our club. We only got 2,400. One thing about this is that when you report these are for the fiscal year of Rotary. So if this project goes through, let's say it's a fundraiser, and all the activities, all the planning activities are in July, and your activity itself is in August, then you have to report all the hours you spent in the first fiscal year up to July. And then in the next year, you report the money you got from it and the hours you spent only in that year.
Dave, if I can just, it's Don, just to clarify something, because I ran into this problem last year. Especially if you're bringing in something from last year, make sure that your dates, as David said, are current. So they have to be between July 1st and June 30th of the Rotary year.
Yeah.
If you're outside that date, and this is a requirement for the Rotary citation, it will not record there because it's not completed within that year. So make sure your dates are between those two, and that you actually have a project completion green light there, because if not, it will not flow into the Rotary citation.
Yeah. Oh, I guess I could. Yeah. Anyway, no, and Don's done this so many times that I think he knows all the little problems. So call Don.
Thank you.
Anyway, so that's the service activity, and when you press complete, the only thing to go over into Rotary Club Central in that main area under Goal Central will be that you have accomplished one service activity. I want to bring it down here. You'll notice that we're reporting in Canadians and they translate it to American. Okay, so you don't need to translate your money. Okay, the value of donated goods, there wasn't any in this activity. But here's what I wanted you to recognize is that there are down here different types of categories that we're in. This is simply a fundraiser, but environment is one, polio, area focus, young leaders, vocation, international, and community. Okay, so these are the categories that you will put them in for RI to keep track of things. Question?
what is, sorry, areas of focus?
There are 6 areas of focus in what Rotary looks. Correct me if I'm wrong. Hello, Marley, jump in. 6 areas of focus, and they include probably some of these, and specifically they are.
They are child and maternal health, literacy, water, and sanitation. Those are the areas.
And peace. Peace is one of them.
Peace, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Does that make sense? Good. So really what you're doing is you're helping RI indicate in their records what this activity was all about. And of course, the partners, if you had none, you would say none, but we had a Rotary Club as a partner. Okay. So when you do that, and I'm going to go back here to Goal Central, Goal Center in the tab, you will notice that under service, there is now 1 achievement, and we just have to record the rest. Okay. So the key to all this is to literally plan ahead. Have this ready as a group. Make sure your board of executive, make sure your committee chairs and members, make sure all the members have said, oh, I see what we're doing here, and it is a plan that we feel is not only reasonable, okay, but it's attainable. And only if it's that will you get full support of your members. And then you will use it as a tool, like Dawn keeps saying, is that this is where we're going, so this is where we are now.
David?
Yes.
Just before you take this off, and before you finish, if you're finished, that's fine, but before you take this off, if we can just go into My Rotary at the bottom, and then we'll try and find the dashboard for the Rotary citation, although when I last looked, it was still on last year's.
Yeah, I really was going to mention that, but it's let me see.
Yeah. So you have to go out of this Goal Center to look at the Rotary citation. So it's just at the bottom of My Rotary there.
Yeah, that's what I clicked on.
Yeah, and then you have to go down the left-hand side.
Oh, really?
I think.
Well, hold on.
Just go down where it says My Club Snapshot.
You know, I agree with you.
I think they've changed it again. Yep, they've changed it again.
I think it's under Member Center.
Okay.
Are you looking for manage, John?
No, we're
I'm
looking.
sorry, I can't hear you.
Are you looking for manage?
No, it's for the citation. Okay, there it is for, okay, under Club and District Administration. Take a look at reports. They keep on changing this around.
I wrote them an email the week before last and haven't got a reply. So I'm really...
Okay, here we are. So go down to, keep going down.
Yeah, I am. Man.
I won't do too far. Just go awards. There it is. Under awards, Rotary citation. So let's see what year we have here.
Very slow.
That's why we're paying the extra $4.
It's still 1718, but let's have a look at it.
Yeah, we'll have a look at it. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is still last year's. But this is the report that I take to our board starting in around November.
And if you keep an eye on this and you see that something is not being recorded when you think it should be, it gives you an opportunity to get it fixed before June 30th at 11:59 and 59 Central Time. Because once it clicks over to the first, guess what?
Yeah. So here you have an example of all of the goals. These are, again, our last year's, so they don't refer to what David was showing before. But it says under support and strengthening clubs achieve goals 4 or more of the 8. And you'll see that only 3 were done. So every goal that's done goes into green. And so you can easily go down and see, oh, I haven't done this one yet. And as I say, most of these will automatically come over either from the database for membership, the RI database, or your Club Central, or your projects.
Yeah, it's an ideal tool when they have it up,
Yeah.
to be able to see what your status is.
Yeah.
And that's really what it's all about.
It does take about 2 days for it to change. So if you've gone in and done a service project and it doesn't show up here, it'll take about 2 days for it to come through. But I think it's still on 17, 18 because of the issues they had with the flooding.
Okay. Yeah, and I haven't put it on for those that are looking at the toolbox. I haven't put anything about this on the toolbox yet because it was absolutely useless for me to have a demo of last year's when this year's would be much more accurate. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well.
That's telling you that they have yet to finalize the president or the Rotary citation, because once they have that finalized for all the clubs, then they will click it over and show this year, this Rotary year.
Okay. Questions? You did a good job, Don.
You did. You both did an excellent job. I'm sure that there must be some questions. I'm just surprised that the hands aren't flying up, but maybe everybody just wants to leave and have an early night.
Marley, I think one of the things that the 3 of us have talked throughout the last few months is, and I guess I'll find this out this year, PETS training, they sort of push it that the president's responsibility to do this. I would say that the presidents don't have the opportunity or the time to do that. So your best bet is, if you don't have one specific person, i.e. the secretary, to record all this, is to get 2 or 3 people in the club that will look after certain things. So if you've got someone in community service, make sure that they give somebody a write-up to do for the project. And then it'll either have to be the president, the secretary, or an executive secretary that inputs it. But at least they can do the work for you, so it becomes simple to do it. Because I think if it's overload for the president, the things will never get done because it's not a priority.
I think what we have to remember when you are at multi-district PETS or at PETS 1 online, we do stress that it is responsible or the authority of the president to make sure that it is done. They do not have to do it themselves, but they do need, and they should be checking to ensure that it has been updated. First of all, the goals that were set, likely by the president, then the board, and then approved by the membership, have been input, and they are maintained throughout the year. It doesn't do any good to put them in and say, we've done it, that's it. It does take work. But we can't expect our presidents to do it all, nor should they, because it is not good management to be a one-man show, one-woman show of anything. You need people backing you up, and that is the whole thing. I strongly, last year was the executive secretary in my club, and I found that was the best role that they could have had. I didn't have to take minutes. I didn't have to do anything. I had to maintain Rotary Club Central and our membership.
Yeah. The one thing I want to add is that this whole process is a business approach as far as I'm concerned, and it is very much so an excellent means of taking a young entrepreneur and giving them the backbone of the success for a business. And really, once you start thinking of that, this is all we're trying to do with setting goals, et cetera, et cetera. We are establishing a means in which we can have success. And it's got to be a mindset within the club. We've set these goals. We are aiming for these goals. And by God, we're going to work on them.
Dan here.
There's a commonality.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, just last Thursday, I managed to have a couple members meet with me of the last two past presidents, and we went through the goal process and got them recorded on Rotary Club Central. Now that I've learned more about the process tonight, I can go back and fine-tune what we did. But I was trying for months to get many members of the board together to go through the goal setting process, and I was unsuccessful. So basically I had to have a special get together, and only 2 other members showed up for the process. But that's the difficulty, is that we're busy doing so many other things, and then you add this necessary goal setting process on top of everything else, and we just never got to it at any of the board meetings. But anyway, it's now done. I just clarifying that basically any project we do can be considered a service project. Like when we set the goals last Thursday, we thought it was for a specific thing. So we raised money for Pathstone. So we only put down one service project, which is now way understated, because, we ran the corn booth and raised money running the corn booth. We're currently doing the TV auction. So we're raising money for breadfruit trees and RUTF. I mean, those are all individual projects. So we're probably up around a dozen, not one.
Yes, exactly.
So, yeah. Okay. So that was very informative. And
I
then
also strongly recommend that you use your socials as well, because your socials are very, very important for club retention.
Yeah.
Without club retention, you have a bigger problem of 10% every year. Yeah. But if you can keep the people, maybe you don't have to have.
So one of our members is a Hamilton Ticat fan, the diehard football fan. So he had a line on tickets for $25 each at the Labor Day Classic, which is Hamilton versus Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
So how many members of my club did I get to come along to this fantastic opportunity? Basically, the seats were center field, up a few rows. Anyway, I was the only one from my club. Jim Craig, the president of the Niagara Falls Club, came along, and then some friends of mine came along too. But we had a great time. It's just, I didn't get the other members to come out to this fantastic social. But we haven't done too badly with social events. We get together about once a month usually at Cat's Caboose. And Cat's Caboose provides us free finger foods. You don't have to pay for the food. We each throw in $5 into the pot to go into the general fund to help finance club activities. And we usually get about at least 20 people, including spouses and friends, out to these socials at Cat's Caboose.
Thank you, Susan. We're glad that you enjoyed it.
Marla, I was just going to say for Dan and others, one of the things that you should be doing before your year is to have a board meeting of the brand new board. That's where we discuss the goals and objectives. So as long as somebody puts them all out there, and then you go through them relatively quickly and say, what can we achieve, what can't we achieve? Then you present that to the membership, at least as a goal component, and get their input. But at least that's how you can get your board together to discuss them. And it only takes about 20 minutes, 25 minutes in most cases.
I totally agree with you. You do need to do that.
And our president last year did a great job and won the citation, which was fantastic. But one of the things he didn't really do is do what I hope to do with our incoming president, is get together with him and his incoming board and in May and start the process of goal setting for the following year, because I think that's when you have to get started with it, because people are away, they're on vacation. I was away for most of June.
Do it early. Do it in March. Do it right after you've been to multi-district pets. Sit down with your board at that point. They're not inducted. They're not. They haven't been named officially yet, but do it soon. If you can get it done before you get really busy and into the spring and summer, you're going to then have 365 days to attain it. But if you wait until after you become the president and then try and get people together, you likely are going to be down around the 300 days because the summer just slips by.
Yeah. Now the next series of Zooms, are we going to be discussing new stuff? Is it going to be a different topic each time?
There will be on the 24th, we'll be doing more Q&A and a different one, but the rest of for the majority of them, they will be the same. But we've got 69 clubs and...
October 24th is World Polio Day.
I know. And it was booked and I can't back out of on it.
Okay.
So because there are not a whole lot of clubs doing anything on World Polio Day, I can tell you that. Leslie.
There's hundreds of us going to the Ice Dogs game.
For the who?
The Niagara Ice Dogs hockey game is on the 24th of October.
Oh, okay. Well,
so we're doing a special Rotary night. We're going to have RI videos on the Jumbotron. We're going to have all the presidents on ice. Not on ice, but on the center ice.
Good stuff. Good
and
stuff.
we're going to be raising money for polio.
I just want to get a couple of comments here. Leslie, how did you find this, given the fact that you're from the other district?
Your neighbor. Oh, there I am. Good grief. I was looking, I couldn't see me all the way through this. Can you hear me?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So very helpful. I think we need to be doing a similar approach with our folks. I can see as a learner that it can be very overwhelming to say, well, just go on Rotary Club Central and put your goals in. And having someone take you through it is really useful. In fact, I've got 3 screens here, and I was pulling up something on one of my screens from your website, having a look at it as you were talking. So yeah, really useful.
Super.
Thank you.
Doc, what I know you've been through all of it so many times, but what did you find this helpful to you?
Well, it did exactly what I wanted. It was a refresher so that I could remember where I got to go to put the stuff in. Because when I was president, it was just coming on board, and then the presidents after me were all grumbling about it. So I thought, well, I better figure this out beforehand. But everything you were saying about pre-planning, I remember when I was president the first time around, I talked to people way early on and said, will you be my membership chair? Yes. And then, I said, well, start giving me some ideas what you're thinking. And we've been through visioning twice, so we're on our second plan. So I'm looking forward to enjoy the fruits of my labor from years ago.
Good stuff.
So it's all good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Lauren, thank you for joining us. And talk about World Polio Day. You're doing something special.
Yes, we're still finalizing the arrangements to light. We've got the permission from the Peace Bridge to light the Peace Bridge, but we're trying to hold it at Neighbors Arch at the end of Highway 3. He's the man who, in the 1920s, donated the land to the Canadian side at least, so that the Peace Bridge could be built. But that was connecting with the Niagara Parks Commission to get permission to open the washroom and do the club. Of course, then we want to invite all the Canadian clubs to come that aren't going to watch the Niagara Ice Dogs and see who turns up. That's great. The American side has already done that. They're meeting Frank Lloyd Wright Boathouse on Rotary Row on the other side of the river. Each of us have a good view of the bridge and river. So that's our plan for October 23rd.
So, Lauren, did this help you?
Yes, yes, it did. Again, as Doc said a few minutes ago, reminders. I've done some of it before. It always helps to be reminded on something which is a bit more complex than you want to admit, especially the part that you can list each project. Is that the word? Project? It was confusing at first to realize that to me there are two types of things. There's a fundraiser, to have it called a service project, sort of bought this. A fundraiser project, and I would say inbound service is raising money, and outbound service is doing something in the community, get the money, or is spread out over a number of projects. So
But,
good to be able to know we could list those.
thank you. And Susan, are you still here? Susan, are you still here?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I am here. So I found this very informative. We actually did something a few weeks ago with talking about goals, but we didn't go through the Rotary Club Central and entering them. And I think it would be very beneficial for our presidents to review this at some periodic basis, maybe quarterly, with the members, so that we can all stay engaged and participate and see how our club is doing. And I think that would help with retaining membership. So this was very informative. I'm very appreciative, and I'm looking forward to learning more.
One other thing is all members, no matter what their position in the club is, has the right and the ability of viewing everything that is in Club Central. But they cannot change anything.
Good.
So only if you have show edit in one of the windows can you change it. Otherwise, it only shows view. But I think for the transparency within clubs and the camaraderie, it does a lot if the club members understand how to do it and can view it on an interim basis, however often they wish. And it gives the momentum and keeps the momentum going on it.
Agreed.
So we are past the hour. I do want to thank all of you. If you have no more questions, I thank Dave and Dawn for all their hard work. I thank all of the participants for joining us. Please recommend that someone else in your club does make the effort to come to one of the other ones. I think the more people we can have educated in this, the better off all clubs will be. So on that, I am going to